Hi, I'm Wade Harvey, and today we're going to look at the .NET framework. And this is a very exciting part of the foundation that is built on top of the Windows operating system. You start with this low-level Windows operating system, then you install a .NET framework. You can have multiple frameworks running on top of Windows operating system, so that you can target which framework you want your compiled code to run on. And so what is a framework? Well, it's a virtual machine that includes a large class library. And by virtual machine, what I'm talking about is it is the common language runtime part of the framework is the virtual machine. And what it does, it takes your compiled code and translates it to the most efficient code for executing on your particular computer. This also has the advantage of keeping your applications in a safe environment, so that if your application crashes, it'll just crash the virtual machine part and not Windows in its entirety. So why use the .NET framework is a good question, I think. And there's a couple of reasons. First, it allows us to reuse large functions that we do over and over again. Write a file, read a file, create a window, create a web form, whatever. And then it also has security. Whenever we access an assembly or a DLL, it will check to make sure that it's got the right version and that the version has not been tampered with. This is part of looking at the evidence for the assembly to make sure that it's the correct one. So the programmer doesn't have to worry about that. Also, memory management is taken care for us. When objects are no longer used, garbage collection automatically collects them. Programmer doesn't have to write that code. And it has saved. Another good feature is that it creates safe sandboxes for applications. Applications run inside an application domain, and this application domain doesn't share variables across the whole operating system. So here, once again, if your application crashes, it just brings down the application domain. So these are very powerful features, and it's amazing to me that the .NET framework is only 8 years old. You can see when the major versions came out, and it's not been around that long. And before that, there was Classic ASP, and we've come a long way in the past 8 years. And this slide shows how we've progressed. At the bottom of the slide, we have the common language runtime. This is the virtual machine that translates your compiled code that came from when you're in Visual Studio. It compiles it into the temporary ASP.NET files, or if you're using IIS, the compiled code is in inetpub webroot in those folders. And the common language runtime takes it from this intermediate language and converts it to ones and zeros. So that's the virtual machine part that's running. The base class library is a very powerful library. These consist of, when you are in writing code and you type import system in VB.NET or import it's Microsoft. These are the modules that are included in the base class library. Now, the base class library is just a subset of the framework class library, and the framework class library includes these WinForms classes, ASP.NET classes, and the ADO.NET classes. When 3.0 came out, we had the Windows Presentation Foundation, which enhanced the graphics that you could use using 3D graphics and so forth. The Windows Communication Foundation, this allowed you to use improved web services. Workflow allowed you to code workflows in Visual Studio, and CardSpace allows you to identify people for security purposes. In 3.5 we had the addition of LINQ, which is a language that allows you to kind of embed SQL right into your code, so it gives you a type save where you have IntelliSense and so forth when you're typing your queries inside your Visual Basic or C# code. ADO.NET Entity Framework also came out in 3.5, and in 4.0 we have addition of parallel processing, which is very, very powerful. Okay, this slide looks at the intermediate language concept. It really breaks it down for us, and it shows that the power of it is that you can have all these different languages compiled down into a single intermediate language. That you could have C#, VB code, and J#, all in one project, compiled into one intermediate language called the Common Intermediate Language. And then the Common Language Runtime, this virtual machine, converts that common intermediate language into ones and zeros, which is the native language for the machine. And the Common Language Runtime uses a lot of caching, so that if you're running through a loop, it doesn't have to recompile that code over and over again, which is a big advantage over an interpreted language. An interpreted language goes all the way from source code all the way to ones and zeros on every statement. And so the just-in-time compiler is a big improvement over interpreted language, because it is using all this caching and so forth to optimize the code a lot better. Another important feature of the .NET framework is interoperability, and this involves when you have to go outside the framework. How do you get from .NET to something that's outside the framework, like a COM module or a DLL that's outside that? And the way you do it, for COM modules, you use interop services, and they just put a wrapper around the COM module and allow you to access that COM module through this gives you type save wrapper. And then if you're trying to access the other native objects like Windows API, you can use the pinvoke feature, and what this does, it just imports the DLL inside the .NET framework and puts the parameters on a stack, and allows you to work with them through that technique. And I think it's important to emphasize where this stuff resides in the computer, because it's everything's scattered in different places. So this slide shows that the framework resides in the Windows folder, Microsoft Net /framework. And at this level you have the GAC, and you also have the temporary ASP.NET files. That's where the output of your compile pages from Visual Studio goes. This is the intermediate language output. And also in these Windows folders you have the machine.config if you're ever looking for that.